Hey everybody, it's Zen. I just wanted to say at the beginning of the video and put a little disclaimer. I apologize for the audio. For some reason, OBS, which is the recording software I use, did not split the tracks how they were supposed to be, so making the audio sound good and proper did not work right. I'm relatively quiet in the video, and Spike is pretty loud, and some of the background noise is pretty loud too. So I apologize if the video is hard to watch. I tried to do as much work as I could on it. So anyway, that is all. Hope you guys enjoy and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye. All right, everybody, this is the third episode of this little interview series we got going on. Today I have with me SpikesGuides, also known as Joe Biden, the President of the United States. How you doing, Spike?
How are you doing? My name is Joe Bike. Have you seen Kamala? She's got my change of diapers. I'm using a voice AI thing to obfuscate myself. So there might be a bit of a delay. So if I just sound autistic, I am, but also it's my computer obfuscating my voice.
Yeah, this is gonna be really hard to do without me just randomly laughing if you say some really unhinged shit with that voice mod. I'm gonna be
Oh, it makes
struggling.
it better.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be a war. But how you doing today?
Or
Everything
I've
smooth?
been thinking about one of those in Israel. Yeah, I've been doing well. Just really busy these days. So I'm pulling basically between 60 to 80 hours a week. So I'm very busy.
Right,
It's a nightmare to try to get like at least one article out a week sometimes.
right, yeah. No, because I remember for a little while we both had a very, very similar schedule, and mine sucked ass. But I mean, hey, at least finals are soon, right?
Yeah, fuck, remember those couple of weeks away? I
Mine
don't
is next
remember.
week.
I literally take it day by day. Oh, wow.
Yeah, fun. So tomorrow it begins my hell week. So
I
alrighty.
use a lot of Adderall so I can stay up while I'm being the president.
So you're the reason that the cocaine was found in the White House. I see.
No, that was Hunter. He was whipping up crack in the basement kitchen.
I hate it. All right. So we got well, let's open up with one question from someone we're both friends with, and we both absolutely love him, Oni. He asks why Palmetto State Armory makes the best modern AK.
I agree. That's the thing. I agree, and it's going to piss off everybody that's in it. I'm in a group chat without me, and it's a bunch of AK guys, and they're going to hate that question and my response. It's a good budget option. It just works. Sure, they had some issues early on, but I mean, for the price tag and without having to compete with boomers with social security checks on broker, you can't beat PSA. I don't think. I don't want to go to Cabela's 8 times a month to try to find one AK that's worth like $900 that they upscale or upsell you for 1,100. Fuck that. I'm just going to buy one from PSA.
Yeah, no, I agree. PSA AKs. I wanted their PSA pistol AK 101 for a while now because it just looks so goddamn good.
Yeah, I've got their. I don't remember what it is. It's basically a crank pistol and 7.62, and I like that a lot.
Oh, that sounds sexy. So, I've got a personal
So
question
what's our
for
next
you.
question?
This is one for me because I saw you did a couple posts about it. I saw you did a PTR. How do you feel when companies like PTR, and also you've got companies like Century. Basically, these companies that take the tooling and factories from these major companies and remake their guns with contracting and then sell them out to the market. How do you feel about these companies?
Well, it's a little mixed, and here's why. PTR, 100% on board because what they're making is pretty good. I mean, it's a very solid piece. I mean, I don't think it's shooting sub 1 MOA at 300 yards or whatever, like the fucking original G3s were doing. But Century likes to buy parts kits and then put them together wrong, especially with head spacing. And I don't know why they're still in business. They really should be sued for killing people at this point. So if it's done effectively and correctly, I'm completely on board. And then Century, I didn't buy a C308 for a reason.
Yeah, no. I actually had someone suggest to me just buy a C308 from Century. I gave that boomer man a dead look in the eyes and just plainly asked, "Are you trying to kill me?" Because I've heard stories of like C308s and some of their AKs just actually exploding like bombs in people's hands and faces.
Yep, I've heard the exact same thing. And I've seen evidence of their head spacing being just terrible, like all the no-go gauges going off. Or I guess, showing no-go. So,
Yeah, that's we love Ooh, this is an interesting one. This is from Digi. What wins in a fight, gorilla or bear?
a gorilla's got the raw autistic strength that can only be achieved from a special ed kid. But a bear has the claws. And I think I'm going to have to give it to the bear, unless the gorilla can react first. Because the gorilla will rip the bear's arms off, and then it's effectively a stump. But if the bear hits first, it's going to disembowel him in a swipe.
Right, that's actually a really good point. Oh, dude, it is so hard not to laugh my ass off with that voice. Never thought I'd hear
I can't
Joe
wait
Biden.
to hear the playback later.
Dude, hearing Joe Biden say a gorilla has the sheer autism strength to rip its arms off its stumps. Oh. Oh, God. Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Gotta open it back up again. Browser's being funky. Let's go to one from Data, because he's got a really good one. This is a double question. Who is your favorite cryptid on Twitter, and why is it Doomer instead of me? And then his follow-up is, let me fully read this so I can actually understand. Oh, here we go. How do you determine the validity of things that cannot be easily tested for a civilian in poverty? And we got into that whole discussion about EMPs and nuclear weapons.
Okay. So, well, I guess first for the cryptid thing. Does he just mean like info poster, or does he mean people with cryptids in their name or images that they use? Or
I don't
I'm just
know.
not quite sure what he meant.
I know it's a shitposty question, but I thought I'd ask it anyway.
Because if we're going with, I guess I'll go with Shadzi. That man has killed more cunts than cervical cancer. So, anyway, the second question, validity of things that cannot be tested, such as EMPs. Well, luckily, we have data that has been collected by the State Department, Defense Department, and I want to say no, not FBI. But with things like that, there's information out there, and luckily, they've tested on smaller electronics, for example. I think I actually touched on it I think that was like my second article thread ever. Second or third. But it's something like with EMPs, the data that they determined was that they produced something like about 50,000 volts per meter of wire. And from there, you can extrapolate a lot of information like, oh, my cell phone has connections that are the size of like 4 millimeters. they'll probably be fine. They might act a little funky wonky. But then when you compare that to unplugging in a telephone or a computer, whatever, into the wall outlet, which is then connected to the mains, and that's effectively one massive wire, that's going to cook that shit because it's going to get way too many volts. It's going to, fry out electronics. It's going to burn out resistors, stuff like that.
Really good point on that, because I know that a lot of people are afraid of like EMPs and having like their personal mini devices fried. I've seen similar data that you have where it's like your larger electronics will end up being fried, like your computers, your servers, everything like that. But you're like Nokia 43, whatever, that's going to be fine, which is reassuring in some aspects.
Yeah, and then there were also. I didn't mean to walk on you there. Sorry.
You're good.
So I was going to say there are some options on the civilian market that act as like circuit breakers or surge protectors, sort of. I don't know how they work. My understanding is that they've basically got like fuses that are rated up to, certain amounts of voltage going through. I don't know. I'm not an electrical engineer type of guy. I'm more mechanical minded. But my understanding is if too much volts come in, like say EMP hits nearby, voltage comes through the wires, kicks up, it burns out the fuse, and then that prevents the signal, that massive amount of voltage from going through by physically breaking the connection. Their testing hasn't been done as far as I'm aware, so it's kind of all in theory.
I'll have to definitely do some research into that and see what I can maybe reproduce, because that'd be an interesting experiment for sure. Let's see what this next question. Ooh, I like this one. We'll touch on a less serious one from Jimmy Young. If you were a vehicle, what would you be and why?
So I saw this one when it was asked a few days ago, and I had a little time to ponder it. I'm going to go with a Nissan Altima. Not particularly great at anything, but it'll get you there. It might hurt a little bit, might not be very good at anything, but it gets you there. It's reliable.
Well, I mean, it'll do a lot of things good if you
Also,
like.
it never gives up.
Yeah, no, it'll do a lot of good things. A lot of things really well, I should say. If you just put like a turbocharger and give it a little tune.
I mean, just straight out of the box, at least up to whatever gen. I don't know. I don't know what gen they're on now, but they hold up well. I mean, you've probably seen the memes of people buying like complete shit boxes, and then they'll drive them for another 50,000 miles somehow.
Oh yeah, it's completely unhinged on how those cars just last forever. I've noticed that with like Toyotas as well. Like the Toyota Corolla can have like a million miles and that shit'll still go.
Oh yeah, Toyotas. Yeah, they'll last forever.
For a more serious question, this one's from RWI Co. Raven, our buddy. What got you involved in the world of weapons, training, and preparedness?
Well, I guess I've always kind of had an interest in all of this. I mean, arguably all the way since I was a young kid, but because I've always had an interest in firearms beyond just like I'm going hurting. I've done, yeah, I guess I've always just had an interest in military and militaria, and then you couple that with kind of my inclinations of distrust towards any form of authority in the last decade or so of governmental overreach. It kind of coalesces into an individual who sees that people should be prepared on the chance that everything goes terrible, and that chance seems to increase every day, but we'll see.
Very interesting hearing Joe Biden talk about this. But yeah, no, I agree. I guess I've just always been into it as well because my family was a lot of military, so I heard a lot of the shit that the military did overseas and everything, and it brewed a lot of distrust in the government and everything from my end.
Yeah, for me, I never grew up with anybody really in the military. I had a brother in the Air Force, but he did nothing. Just, I mean, a big part of what got me to kind of see the craziness that was going on behind the curtain initially was um, a lot of 4chan. Just because at the time, this was prior to 2016, because anything on 4chan, especially on the political board, since 2016 is all astroturfed, schizophrenics, and feds, and people just posting black porn. Um, I'm just imagining Joe Biden saying that. But and prior to that, there was a lot of open discussion and about things that were kind of frowned upon in the greater zeitgeist. Outside of things, just guys who would just go, "The Holocaust never happened." You go, "What did you mean by that, sir?" It just didn't happen. Okay. I mean, obviously, you had schizophrenics still, but
Right.
you saw behind the curtain, so to speak. I want more.
Yeah, no, I agree with the whole thing on 4chan. I used to browse it a little bit before 2016, and it was not horrible. Like, I mean, you still had the schizophrenics and the completely horrible people who were sometimes on there, but you also had like genuine discussions occasionally, and it was genuinely interesting. And
Yeah, it
now,
all depended on your
yeah,
board.
yeah, and like even
All the
on like poll,
sorry.
like you're good. Even on poll, it's like, oh, this could be a nice discussion, and now all it is like fucking feds, schizos, redditors who want to be cool because they're on 4chan, and then like just total asshats who can't differentiate between a schizo and a fed. So
Yeah, it's like that in a lot of them. I mean, I shouldn't say all of them, a lot, but a lot of the main ones are like that. V is full of actual pedophiles. TV is just full of children. Um, Obviously, Paul, we discussed that already. I had a great example in mind that I completely blanked on. Oh, Biz. Prior to the Bitcoin rush, was a pretty fun place to go on, and now it's still pretty fun to go on for the stock market in general. This is my official shill post to go browse that if you're into trading. But also, it's full of Indians trying to sell you dog shit scam coins. Oh my God, it's AIDS.
yeah, my favorite, and I still browse it to this day occasionally, like over like a nice cup of coffee or like a glass of whiskey or something, is X, the paranormal board. That has some really good stories if you did.
Yeah, X is great for the. God, I'm sorry, I have really bad allergies for some reason this time of year. But X for the cursed images. I love those threads because there's always that one image of the guy standing up on the carnival ride, and the meme is that copy pasta about a guy flying out of one and landing a block away.
Oh god, yeah. Oh, this reminds me. Do you remember? Going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but do you remember the X story about the fucking guy was like sent like a random coordinate to a warehouse and like he did like a photo adventure thing of it and then just completely disappeared?
Is that the one where he found an air intake tunnel or whatever, and it was just really spooky?
Yeah,
Or am I thinking of a different one? Oh, it was that one. Yeah, I remember that. That was around 2016, if I remember right, wasn't it?
I think it was either early 2016 or mid to late 2015.
Yeah, because it came out around the same time. I know this is going on YouTube, so I'm going to watch my words so the powers that be don't grab this and completely delete your video. But it was around the same time as a certain theory involving a place that sold pizzas, and it had a gate. Unrelated turns.
Right, they're not related in any way.
Yeah, I remember when that happened, and I was really into it, and that spooked me pretty good, and I stayed away from it. And now that, I mean, if you ask me, that QAnon Anon stuff was started both to kill the election and also to kill any of the investigations with that. But that's just a theory.
A game theory, yeah, no. I'm gonna air this out completely. I personally think that the QAnon stuff, like, is just some hardcore LARP. It's so bad.
I don't know if it's a LARP or a Fed. God, I got my fucking voice. I don't know if it's Feds or a LARP, but I will tell you that I think it's Matthew Watkins, Jim Watkins, that's what it is. Jim Watkins of 8chan, he capitalized on it. And that's why that place got so big, was because it turned into, that's where the Q guy is. That's where he gives his intelligence drops, when it follows a lot of the same stuff as if you're writing a Nostradamus theory where you just talk really vaguely and mysteriously and people think you're smart.
God, yeah. The vague posting, which, by the way, you probably have seen. Have you seen the fucking Q posts on Twitter of like the countdown, and then like the day where the countdown came to like 0, it just ended, and like nothing fucking happened?
I like that. That's very funny. That shit was just full of like Trump 2016 or 2020 account, and then it'd be like Cheryl, Patriot Cheryl, fucking making some kind of comment like, "We're here for you, Q. Where we go one, we go all."
Those are such a fun account. Not account, but just a series of accounts to follow. Like, I don't like shitting on people like that, but like, it's kind of obvious that the Q stuff is just some form of bait.
Yeah. I mean, I like shitting on people. I shit on everybody, including myself. So if anybody is offended, just know I hate myself just as much. No, I don't
I
hate myself. I just make fun of everybody equally.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I try to get away from doing that because I try to be a good person and a nice guy, but at the same time, it's some people are just so stupid. I can't help it. Ah,
Oh, yeah, especially with boomers, because they're so naive because they didn't really grow up with the internet, or the ones that's not true. A lot of them have used the internet a long time. They know what they're doing, but a lot of them didn't really do computers till they got an iPad and a Facebook connection, and they're as naive as children. Hmm.
I think a lot of it too, with like boomers and Gen Xers though, is because like back when they were younger, like around my age and probably around your age too, is they didn't have the massive amounts of
I'm
misinformation that we have.
78, or no, I'm 82.
Ah, so kind of. But they didn't have the level of misinformation that we do now. Like back then, it was just pop up the newspaper or boot up the dial-up and go to fucking Fox or CNN. It was just how it is. You know, a random dude in San Francisco stabs 4 people, sentenced to 40 years or whatever. We're like, okay, now it's all politicized and bullshitted and made up crap.
Yeah, and a lot of them, I mean, I would even extend this to people within our generation. Um, they see the other side as being misinformation, but then they refuse to see that their side is also doing the same shit, just in their tilt. It's kind of crazy.
I agree. It's
Information warfare is a very recent phenomenon, and a lot of people need to understand what it is and understand how to read through it on both sides, because it's I mean, you are not immune to propaganda, is the meme with like Garfield, but it's true. I mean, it's, you're being subjected to it on both sides, whether you believe it or not, and you need to investigate it and, try to cast away the chaff from the wheat.
right. No, people really do.
If I ever get through my books, my pile of books, I'll have a 5GW full length article written out. It's just there's so many fucking books. Not really that many, but there's only a few, but they're very dense.
Hey, I'd love to see that. That'd be great. You ready for these next questions?
Yeah, I keep treading on you every time you try to. I got the question.
You're good. We love our informational warfare talks. Here's another one to get us into a rant. Um, this one's from Pride Assassin. How to cajole the women's into rucking and training in full kit. What's your answer for this one? Because I probably have a different one.
I mean, well, first they have to have an interest in it. You can't. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I'm not going to pull like some. I'm not going to pull out the dentist system from It's Always Sunny to try to like goad them into it. If they don't see it as important or worthwhile, they won't want to do it. You can try to tell them that it's worthwhile and important, and that's kind of on the end user to try to figure out. But I mean, you can't force them to do anything.
Right. So I have a vaguely different answer. Like, so a lot of this is probably going to get me under a lot of flack, but I'm just gonna go with it. A lot of people who are still into guns and everything don't really still see the necessary or the necessity of rucking and training in full kit or even having full kit. Right. So the first thing is like even just rucking. Like I'm of the personal opinion, not everyone needs a kit. You don't need a decked out fucking plate carrier and battle belt. I do not believe people need fucking level 4 plates to do anything. The most you should be using level 4 plates and a ballistic helmet for is to do urban vehicle ops. That's it. The rest of it, just use a rig. But that's a rant in itself. Just go on hikes. Like, don't even say, oh, let's go rucking. Just go on a hike. Load up with your ruck and some camping equipment, and then load up your girlfriend or wife with hiking equipment, like snacks, water, a tent, sleeping bag, stuff like that that adds weight and is necessary, but isn't like fucking military gear out the wazoo. And then go out and enjoy the view. Take your time. Just walk. Don't go on a jog. Don't go on a hardcore rucking training. Just you grab what you want. Go find a place to hike. Set up your wife or girlfriend with whatever she wants to bring, and just go for a walk and enjoy the peace. Like, because that's the thing too, is don't even try and pose it as rucking or training in that aspect. Like, I don't, like, some people are probably going to be like, oh, Zen's pro manipulation. No, you're going out and spending time with your significant other. Go and enjoy that time while adding a little bit of productivity to it. You're going out on a hike, enjoy the sights with each other, have good memories with each other, but also get a little bit of fitness in while you're at it.
I think that was very reasonable and much more well put together than my answer.
I mean, your answer is also pretty fair and reasonable as well. Mine, I'm just much more. I don't want to say aggressive.
Mine was focusing.
You know.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say mine's much more aggressive in the sense of I think everyone needs to go have some sort of fitness, but also it's spending time with your significant other, which nobody's ever gonna say is bad. If you do, then you're wrong.
Yeah, I was just going to say mine was focused more on the actual event of rucking in kit, and yours was about finding a common ground in the middle.
Yeah, because it's like some people don't want to do it as well because like you only have public hiking trails around you, and nobody really wants that embarrassment of running around with like an 80-pound rucksack and like a 40-pound plate carrier and their rifle and pistol. Like, because that's a little embarrassing when you just come across a couple random hikers who are just in a hoodie and their hiking boots and a small pack, and you're wearing like enough fucking gear to survive the end of the world. Like, that's a little embarrassing to some people. That's why probably one reason they don't want to do it. But
You saying you're saying that, but last time I went camping, I had my buddy and I we had our tents out and our rifles out, and our kit completely on, helmets with night vision attached. We were just LARPing around the fire when a grandmother and her granddaughter come through our camp on the force deck, and we just went hi.
I think the only thing I've had like that was me and my father were rucking. I think I was carrying like 89 pounds plus a 338 Lulu Magnum bolt action. And then my father was carrying 80, 90 pounds and then his Barrett M107. And we were just hiking up a trail he usually goes, and we came across like actual like fucking state conservation workers, and they're like, "What are you guys doing?" And my father straight off the quip just said, "Oh yeah, we're training for a thing called the Sniper Team Mammoth Challenge. It's a thing that's going to happen in the spring, and we're trying to get ready for it and prepare ourselves." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Have a good one." And then let us keep going about our thing.
Very cool.
Yeah, it would have been bad if we would have said, "Oh yeah, we're just rucking because we're preparing for shit to go south with the government."
Yeah, not an ideal answer to give to the state.
Yeah. I believe we have one more question on this, and then we can just fuck around. Glock or Sig Sauer?
Glock. I hate SIG. And here's why. Then let me rephrase. Let me say this also. I don't like Glock. I do not like SIG because the modern day Sig Sauer USA is not the same as the SIG of Europe that made the SIG 550. That is a completely different company. The American SIG is just using the name SIG, kind of like how what's their name? Those Croatian importers. I can't think of their fucking name, but those guys they just import fucking Croat guns and then act like they're Springfield. They act like they're the Springfield Armory. They're just using the name. And the SIG USA is really good at making military contracts, but they've gotten too fat on the fat of government money that they've started cutting corners to maximize profits and making doo-doo BB guns. Also, their sites suck. Fucking SIG.
Okay, I will counter
I
this
mean,
a
if you
little
want a
bit.
SIG and you like it, it's okay.
Yeah, well, I will counter. My father has a Sig, and so does a close friend of mine, and their Sigs are all right. They don't have new ones; they're relatively old. Uh, and then my father on his M14 has a Sig Tango, or no, not a Tango, the Sig Buckmaster, which for how cheap it is, amazing. And then I've got the Sig, I think it's called the MSR, their little cheap red dot, and then their Juliet 3 magnifier, and I love it. But I, other than
I mostly shit on their optics because I've gone through a pile of SIG Romeo 5s.
yeah, no, the Romeo 5 is shit. I like the MSR because it's like their cheapest one. Like for some reason, their cheap budget optics are way better than their fucking high end ones. Like I've seen tests of the MSRs being hit with like birdshot and then like frozen and then thrown as hard as you can throw them against a tree and they'll hold zero. But then like a Romeo 5 dies in like 1 month after 500 shots. It's like what the fuck.
Yep, fuck the Romeo.
Also, just realized that we're going to make Doomer very upset with our Sig hate.
Oh, does he love SIG? I didn't know.
He really likes Sig as far as I know because he has one. Like his main handgun is a Sig 65, I think.
I will say I will commend SIG for the P365 and figuring out the geometry of a 9mm to get a really compact double stack. That's really cool. But I think SIG is going to ultimately turn into cult in the sense that they start getting really lazy because they're doing very well. And we're kind of seeing that already. And how the military might select certain companies that they like more, despite the weapon options not being the best uh, option. Cough, cough, next generation squad weapon. Uh, but I will say their R&D has come out with some very impressive stuff, but the rest of the company doesn't always reflect that caliber, so to speak.
Yeah. Um, I I think that if they took the General Dynamics bid for the NGSW and then the Vortex scope, because the Vortex scope was just going to win no matter what. That thing is fucking cheating. But if they took the General Dynamics NGSW rifle,
Yeah, very
oh my
cool.
god, they would have. The General Dynamics. I don't think General Dynamics has ever made a singular bad product. Because I mean, they've made every Abrams variant up until this point, and that thing's a demon. They made the F-16. We know what that thing can do. We've seen what it can do in multiple wars and engagements, and then they decide to make a rifle that everybody, a rifle and a suppressor that everybody who used both of them absolutely loved, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna give it to SIG because they paid us off to give it to them.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Army's done it before. Look at the M14.
Yeah, I was
I
about to
mean,
say.
that thing should not have won, but it did because they were paid off.
Yeah.
Corruption in government. Who'd have thought?
God, dude, if the G3 would have won, imagine how cheap we could get G3s in America. Imagine.
Ugh,
A man can dream.
what a wacky world we live in.
I believe that is all of the
So, is that
questions.
all the
I
questions? Or?
believe so. I'm gonna double check real quick.
Oh, I was asking right as you were saying.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure if that's all. I think it is, but I can also. I mean, oh wait, we have one more from Desert Sentinel. I completely missed over it. Um, so this is one I've touched on with my own article, and I think he's asking if you'll ever do one. He's got a double question: simple defensive driving tactics, and then his follow up is your favorite bands slash music genres.
Okay. Defensive driving. I would have to do some reading on it. I'm not opposed to. In fact, that'd probably be a very good idea for another article. Probably this next week if I can get some research time in, because I don't have any ideas and human topics are starting to get harder to come by because it's getting into the stuff that's above my understanding. Oh, but yeah, that'd be a pretty good one to do. I don't know much about it yet. And then music, I mean, really, I like everything. As you've probably heard that from everyone and their mother at this point. Oh, I like everything. But I really do. I mean, I am a huge music nerd. A lot of new stuff, old stuff. I mean, I guess I could say what I've been listening to lately. Um, Australian drum and bass group Pendulum's been making new music after like a decade long hiatus. I've been listening to that a lot. Been listening to some older Megadeth just because I enjoy that a lot. I was listening to some old vaporwave while writing that really long essay that did poo poo on the Twitter. So yeah, I genuinely like everything. Give me a genre, and I can probably say at least one artist I've listened to that I like.
Yeah, I I kind of just listen to the same like 3 or 4 genres. I like my heavy metal, funk, more relaxed rock, and old rap like Notorious B.I.G., Snoop, Dre, everything between there.
I really think Nicki was probably the best ever. Um,
Agreed.
just the best ever. Although I think I would probably have to give the best rap song ever to possibly the biggest hack of all time, and that'd be New York State of Mind by Nas. but everything other than Illmatic is just a mega poop album.
Yeah.
And Nas was really influenced by Biggie, and then you had the production with Jay-Z helping work on it as well. And you can really, really tell they're the two influences there. Biggie with the flow, and then Jay-Z for the production of the audio in the back.
Yeah. I need to listen to him more. It's so good.
So, did you have any questions? I don't know. Just
Uh,
now I'm turning this on its head. I'm the one asking the questions.
I don't know. The only other one I can really think of off the top of my head is like I know me and you are kind of in the digital sphere, not as much as like Digi or Doomer or Goon Vibes are, but like, do you ever think you'll get into doing like digital security posts more in depth, or are you gonna leave that to the big fish like Digi?
Yeah, I don't think they'll touch on anything like that outside of what the average individual can do. Um, I mean, if it involves code, it's over my head. If it involves heavy duty network security, it goes over my head. I mean, here's my programming knowledge. Half a semester of C. That's about it. That's my programming, and I cheated for most of it, so I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, I can't blame you on that.
It's I have a lot of envy for people who can and have a mind for that, but I do not. I've tried and I've tried and I've tried over the years, and it's like hitting my head against the wall just because my mind doesn't think that way. I do really well with like vectors and forces and math and shit like that, but when it's like, okay, now sit down and write fizzbuzz, I'll say, how about you suck on my nuts?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. So and something you might understand. So whenever it comes to machining, because that is my profession, I'm a machinist. I'm a quality control engineer and machinist by my profession and my education. Um, I can use a mill and any kind of CNC very, very well. Those are my thing. Manual mill and a CNC mill or lathe, perfect. I can do it. A manual lathe, though, holy shit! I don't know what I'm doing, and my brain can't wrap around it. No matter how much time I have and what I do, it does not work.
Yeah, I don't have too much machining experience. Yeah. Obviously, I have a lot of 3D printing, and I'll be getting some CNC and some milling experience in the next couple of months here. But I don't have too much yet. Outside of like garage tools, obviously. I mean, like drill presses and shit like that anybody could have access to. But some of the more heavy duty, expensive stuff, not too much.
Yeah, no, I will say to help with like the CNC stuff. I don't know what program your school would run you through, but to help with the CNC stuff,
It's basically whatever the
definitely.
SolidWorks
Oh,
equivalent is.
okay. Definitely watched a few YouTube videos by Titans of CNC. A lot of people speak by them. I used them in this
Okay.
semester, and it was good. Yeah.
His mother is at the door. Jimmy, Jimmy, you didn't pay your rent.
Oh, if I didn't pay my rent, I'd be a little more stuck and come knock at the door. But anyway, yeah, Titans of CNC. They have some videos on YouTube, and they have actually like a free course on their own website that's really, really good. So, and that's what we've kind of used off and on through my time here, and it works.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to definitely investigate.
Mr. McGee, yes. But I think that's the last question I have, and we're near that 45-minute mark, so we can go ahead and end it here, unless you have a question for me you want to air out to the world.
I don't have any off the top of my head. I should have prepared a list,
Ah,
but no, I don't. I don't really have any at this point in time.
okay. Well, you
Very true.
You have anything you want to say or shout out before we head off for the night?
Go to my Twitter account and follow me. In my bio is my shop. I've only ever sold two things out of it. Please buy things. It funds my stupid projects. I'm currently working on a field telephone. I will be beginning production of that, or I guess development of that in the next couple of weeks, and I will be documenting it on my Twitter account. I write articles every week. Follow me. I don't know. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Pause. Saying back to the start of everybody shit. Alright, yeah. Go ahead and go give Spike the follow. His Twitter at is SpikesGuides. I'm not gonna spell that out if you don't know how to spell spikes and guides. That's a you problem. He puts out really good articles and really good media. Him and Data Walker were two of the main people who really helped boost my account and get me to where I am, and I'm forever thankful for that for you guys. He also owns the best battle rifle ever produced in the world and has posted pictures of it, so bonus points. This has been episode